Hello and welcome to Tome of Uselessness. I'm Devin.
I'm Dan.
And today we're talking about The Dark Crystal and Labyrinth. But first, Dan, what'd you like this week?
Things I like this week for sure. So I finished Tiamat's Wrath, which was the 8th book in the Expanse series. I was hoping when I went in that
Wait, isn't Tiamat the dragon god from D&D?
Yeah. Well, it's a dragon god.
Oh, it's like a real one.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's like from myth, yeah.
Because it was in black tapes too, and I'm like, wow,
really?
They couldn't even fucking make up their own dragon god.
No, I'm pretty sure it's like a mythical thing, right?
Okay.
Like
cool.
Kind of like a Hydra, right? So.
Well, I take back everything I thought negatively.
Well, because it's in Final Fantasy and stuff like that as well, right? So
Yeah. Cool.
It's been around.
I feel bad now.
No, it was.
Except Black Tapes is a bad podcast.
Okay.
Well, the last season. The first season's so good.
Right. Yeah. Which you spoke of last time, right?
I don't remember what I said ever.
Fair enough. But I was going in, I was hoping it was the last book of the series because it was the most recently published. Turned out I was wrong.
Ooh.
And the story continues, and now I'm on the hook again for another series of books. But it was a very enjoyable and highly would recommend people catch up. And it's.
Do you know how many are left in it?
No. I didn't look up that far, or I didn't look up what their plans are. I assume at least one more. They could maybe do 2, depending on how it goes. They've gone in different directions the entire series, so. Yeah, still enjoyable.
Cool.
I also read The Fifth Risk by Michael Lewis, which is a book about the Trump administration's takeover of branches of government that you just don't really hear about, or, people don't really know what they do. Like, so for example, he talks about the Department of Energy. And in America, it turns out the Department of Energy...
Didn't they put Mitt Romney in charge of the Department of Energy?
I think so, yes.
Stupid.
Yeah, or Rick Perry.
Rick Perry, that's right.
I think it's what it was.
Because
he wears the glasses to look smart.
He's got glasses to look smart.
Yeah.
And he did that...
The classic oops where he was like, I can't name 3 branches of government.
Also that.
Oh, yeah.
But didn't he post a photo of him and his wife holding a bunch of money?
I don't know about this.
Because people accused him of being like out of touch with the working class, and in response, I don't remember if I made this up.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure I've seen that picture.
It sounds pretty legit. But
yeah, it's weird, right?
So yeah, the book's about just when the governments take power and how in the past people just left, right? Mm-hmm. And then the new people would have to come in and like get up to speed. But a guy lobbied Congress and got them to change the law so that the incoming government has to get trained with the previous one. And so when it was Bush was the first person to do it, and Obama was like, wow, they did a really good job. He's like, I want to do better. So they prepped all this stuff, and the book is about how no one showed up to these no one came, and eventually someone who did, but they didn't know what kind of those industries even did, or like, for example, the Department of Energy, turns out half of it or more is actually managing America's nuclear arsenal, which that name doesn't really let you think that.
Yeah.
And so the previous guy who did it was a nuclear physicist.
Makes sense.
He knows what's up.
Yeah.
New guy comes in. He's not an energy
He wears glasses to look smart.
Exactly. So the book's about that kind of stuff. It's very short, 130
really
pages.
Good.
And he goes through that department, the Department of Agriculture, and the department that handles the weather in America and around the world, and just its data. And so it's just stories about like mid-level, not bureaucrats, but just people who work for these agencies who are like, my agency did good stuff. Like, we lent money to farmers so they could build a new thing, but no one wants to know that because it came from the big bad government, right? Kind of thing. Especially in the southern region of the States.
For sure,
so it was a good book, very interesting. I really much always enjoy his stuff. They're always well written, well researced, and presented in a good way. So, like, he wrote The Big Short, Flash Boys, and all that kind of stuff. Recommend.
Yeah, you're a fan of him.
Yes. And I also read, I forgot to mention it last week, was a comic book called Trinity, which was about Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman team up. I don't know. Yeah. It was like a first time team up in this comic book, but I don't know when that falls in comic community or whatever. But it was really good. They fight like Bizarro, Superman, and Amazon, and Ra's al Ghul. Those are the 3 main villains and stuff like that. And they have to team up, and they kind of distrust each other. And classic, like they try it on their own and fail.
Of course. And then they realize that friendship was the meaning of
everything,
something.
But it was really good. I really enjoyed it, and would recommend.
They used Heart from Clapton Planet, and they got it done.
Absolutely, the power of heart.
Yes.
Power of friendship for the win there. But those were 3 things that I enjoyed this week.
Cool. So
Oh, sorry. Just before we continue.
Yeah.
Oh no, never mind. It'll be over by the time this comes out. The TI, the International's on.
Oh Oh, yeah, Dota.
Dota, but that'll be over by then. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Womp womp.
Continuing on, Devin, sorry.
Okay, so you read like 4 books.
No, 2 and a bit. Anyway, yeah.
2 books and a comic since the last time we recorded, and I have done basically nothing because it's been really busy at work. My brain's been on overload. I was kind of sick for a couple days.
Yeah.
So what I did was download Mystic Messenger on my phone, which is a dating sim game, and I'm obsessed. It's really good. There's some questionable storylines.
Sure.
But yeah, I got one of them on the background of my phone, and yeah, that's it.
Replace Tom Hiddleston?
Oh, no, he was replaced a while ago.
Oh, sorry.
So I still have, my lock screen is still Kylo Ren without a shirt.
Right.
But not from the movie, like from a glamour shoot or whatever. But now my background is Business Daddy.
Right.
From, that's not his name, I can't remember what his real name is, but
that's a name.
That's what I refer to him as.
Copy that.
Business Daddy. He's so hot.
Fair enough.
In my head.
And this was on Android, right?
Yeah. I think it's available on.
I assume it'd be available on.
I don't think anyone's gonna listen to this and be like, oh, we're gonna download this.
Someone might.
You know, use code TOME for
0% off.
0% off.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyways, that's all I've done is go after imaginary characters and flirt with them.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay,
that's
cool.
it.
No.
I've gotten good endings on all of them except 7.
Oh, well, there you go. You got 7 to go.
No. His name is 7.
His name is 7.
Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah, he's a hacker.
Oh, snap.
And I thought I was playing it right, but then he ended up getting kidnapped at the end. Spoilers! By his secret twin.
Oh, no.
There's so much drama in this game. I thought it was going to be like Oron, but there's all these like hidden layers.
Nice.
Yeah.
I guess those are easy to port over to like a mobile platform, right? Because it's just like a screen with like the character, some text, and you just pick what you want to do, right?
This is even easier
and it's like
than
nested.
This is like texts. You do text, and then occasionally there's like story mode.
Sure.
But it's mostly like you're in a chat room.
Oh, really?
So it's not even like pictures.
Oh, really?
It's just words.
Nice.
There's something wrong with me.
Well, you know, you want to unwind from work, you're having a good time.
Yeah, I love my anime boyfriends.
Sure.
I think it's Korean though. Can I still call it anime? They look anime.
I mean, it's that style, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Anyways, they care about me and I love them.
Copy that. Let's move on to the Dark Crystal.
Yeah, we'll start with the Dark Crystal.
What came first? 1982.
Alphabetically, chronologically.
Chronologically, yeah.
Yeah.
Because the Labyrinth was 1986. So.
And cool.
Yeah, so Dark Crystal from 1982 was written. I don't know, actually, I forget who wrote it, but Jim Henson and Frank Oz co-directed it.
Yeah.
And.
Can I just say before we get into whether we liked it or not?
Sure.
Can I say something?
Well, do we even have to get into like this is an old movie?
Yeah.
Are we doing?
But but before we even say whether we liked it.
Okay.
This movie watches like it is a passion project.
Oh yeah.
You watch it and you're like, wow, these people were very involved with this story. They were very involved with like making it look the way it looks.
Mm-hmm. That's all I got to say.
That's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, that's right.
It's not a like solo situation.
No.
Or like even though you know I love Marvel movies and I do think they're really good, but you know, they're made for a profit.
Sure.
And they make them so people enjoy them. That's their number one concern. With Dark Crystal, I feel like their number one concern was we need to tell this story the way we want to. Fuck you guys.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, and I think it was Universal had their logo on it at the start, but I'm pretty sure this was like Jim Henson Productions.
Probably.
Like wholesale, right? So I think they probably had the distribution deal, but maybe they didn't have
Doesn't Disney own Jim Henson
probably
stuff now? I think so, yeah.
But yeah, it was from 1982, like Devin was just saying. It was made by the Jim Henson Corp, and it's basically...
All the characters are designed by Brian Froud.
Yes, I have his name here.
I love him. I have he did the Squished Fairies book.
Yeah.
And he does, I have a tarot deck from him.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah, he is just beautiful art.
Well, and they brought him back, of course, for Labyrinth.
Of course they did, because why wouldn't you?
Yeah. He's actually also working on the new show.
Oh, is nice
Yeah.
to know. Yeah. Okay.
Which we'll get to eventually.
Eventually. We haven't watched it yet. It's not out.
Yes.
Okay, Dan, did you enjoy it?
I did. I did enjoy it, and I did enjoy, like Devin was saying, like the care and everything taken in this movie. But you could definitely tell it was made in another time in like screenwriting wise or just story wise. Where
yeah.
you're like, this scene should not exist in this movie. Like it should be something else, or like maybe it should have been trimmed or whatever. But the overall, it's a simple little tale, and I think it's worth checking out for sure.
Yeah, okay.
But I do have my negatives about it.
So, this was my first time watching it. I never watched it as a kid, or if I did.
I can't remember if I did.
I don't remember if I did either, but I don't remember the story at all.
Yeah.
I found it to be very, very boring.
It's definitely slow.
The pacing is bad.
Yes.
I watched it in 1.5 speed because I couldn't concentrate on it otherwise.
Well, and even from the get-go...
On my phone.
Yeah. Even from the start, it has, like, the shots and then the narrator being like, thousands of years ago,
okay.
da-da-da-da-da, and I was like, clearly the Lord of the Rings showed us the superior method of doing this, is you just show it. Like, you have a couple lines... But then you show us what's up.
Over 5 minutes of narration.
Yes, and I was like, this is not
And I'm
good.
like, this is... No.
Yeah.
No, this is boring.
Yes.
These are like still shots. There's like 4 minutes of just like the castle and silhouette with an occasional lightning bolt.
Yes.
I'm like, come on, guys.
Yeah. No, exactly.
We're living in the age of Instagram. We have short attention spans.
No, and again, I think that's like, they were doing it that way because no one had tried maybe something different, or it was just like, oh yeah, we'll just do like this narration thing where it's like I said, Peter Jackson with Lord of the Rings had to show us his backstory. There was like 2-3 lines, and then it was like, blam, here's the happening. Cool.
I gotcha. And I will compare this to Labyrinth, but even so, we'll go back in time instead of going forward to Labyrinth. But you take a movie like Wizard of Oz, which was done in 1935 or some shit, I can't remember.
Sure.
That did a better job of giving us backstory than this one did.
Yes.
Like, Wizard of Oz is a more enjoyable watch than Dark Crystal. Sure. Story-wise.
Yeah.
Story-wise.
Yeah. And I also was going to say I didn't like... Because then we immediately cut from some dialogue stuff to or the narration to internal dialogue by characters, and I'm like, no, this is the worst. Because they do that in the Dune movie, and it's the worst.
It really is.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like this movie could have benefited from having some human actors instead of it being 100% puppet.
Yeah.
I feel like what's his name? Jim?
It's like almost Jen, but it's kind of... I think it's Jen, like G-E-N.
Jen,
or J-E-N. Yeah.
If Jen and Kira.
It's just Kira.
Kira were people, or like...
Jen was a person on occasion.
What do you mean?
So when they were doing some far shots of him like walking down that mountain, that's a person.
Okay.
And then when he's doing some other shots, it's like a person, but for the most part, it is a puppet. Yes.
But I mean, if that had been a human actor the whole time, I think it would have been a little bit easier to connect with the story because there's a very limited range of facial expressions you can get on that puppet.
Well, and
that specific puppet.
I actually, and my other qualm about this is I didn't like the Gelfling design.
Oh, they're terrible.
Which is Jen
they
and
look
Kira
awful.
And our main protagonist type characters, and I was like, every time I was just like, I just don't like the design of this one.
Everything else is so cool to look at, right?
Yeah.
And it's a little bit like fantasy meets nightmare fuel.
Yeah.
Like a little bit, right?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
It could be really spooky if you wanted it to be spooky.
Yeah.
But the Gelflings look like they ran out of time, or I don't know. I really think that it could have benefited from having two like 12 or 13-year-old actors.
Yeah, or you just you make them more human/elf or fairy-like.
Yeah.
Like in facial structure.
I think they should have had actors.
Because they had that pointy ears.
Yeah, they could have put prosthetics on a person.
Sure, of course. But they wanted to do full puppetry.
I get it, but I just think it could have, like, in retrospect, it could have benefited because I feel like Labyrinth, which we were not talking about, is a much more enjoyable and easier to connect to story because we have human characters.
Well, okay. Well,
and David Bowie's in it.
And David Bowie's in it. But okay, so the quick character here is
had zero David Bowie.
Had zero David Bowie. There's the crystal and it broke, and then you got the Skeksis, they're called, and there's 10 of them.
I kept thinking they were called the Sexies.
The Sexies who rule the land right now because they won some kind of war or something, and you have the Mystics on the other end who are the good, and they're trying to keep the good alive essentially. And then the Gelflings are 2 characters, one of them to start with. His parents were killed, classic orphan. And the Mystic who dies, the old wise one who took him in, is like, hey, you gotta go on the quest, find the shard of the crystal, reunite it with the dark crystal to, save the world kind of a thing. Cool.
Yeah.
Simple quest plot. Right?
Yeah, totally.
So,
A plus B equals C.
Yeah, but...
Here's the thing, though.
Okay.
It's a simple story with no treachery or really no obstacles to really overcome. They're like...
Yeah.
It's not like he's gotta learn to believe in himself or some bullshit, right? He's like, I'm gonna go on this quest now, right?
Well, he doubts his ability occasionally, but then, he's okay.
Yeah, because he's killed a town or whatever by accident.
Yeah.
It was his fault.
Sure.
No, he didn't hurt it.
It led them to, the bad guys led them there.
So it's a very simplistic, childlike story.
Mm-hmm.
Contrasted with terrifying puppets and kind of elements people's souls getting sucked out and turned into...
Which was my favorite scene.
Which is awesome, yeah. But it's a little bit if this movie came out today, it would be who's the audience?
Yes, and it'd probably be PG-13.
Yeah, but I guess because it came out in the 80s, people didn't care about their children.
No, it was children horror was alive.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'm not... Yeah, I don't know.
Well, so anyway, and then the Skeksis learn that this kid is going on the quest, so they send their scarab bug monster soldiers after him.
Which are the least scary things in it.
Yeah, they have a cool design, and they're
big,
and they're all carapace looking. But the way they interact with other things, it always is hilarious because they're just always waving their arms, and then there's the occasional clank sound, and you're like, I'm pretty sure that thing's arm would just destroy that puppet or whatever. But so he goes and he meets the augur character who gives him some exposition and gives him a piece of the shard. Yes.
Yeah.
And who's probably the best character in the thing.
Yeah, she's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And they built that cool, planetary alignment, astrolabe type device.
Yeah,
right?
I thought that was really cool.
It's super cool, and set of walks behind the scenes.
Amazing visuals.
Yes.
If you want to watch a movie with the sound off, this would be it.
Or you put, the Lord of the Rings soundtrack over top. Just, mute it.
Yes.
Like that.
Or, if you want to go weird,
Some EDM.
Oh, okay. I was thinking, why can't I remember the name?
I don't know.
Dark Side of the Moon.
Oh, yeah. Pink Floyd.
Pink Floyd, thank you. Boing.
Yeah.
We saw them. I should know that.
Yeah, that was cool. He gets the piece of the shard. He eventually meets Kira, and they're both like, oh, you're another Gelfling? I thought I was the only one.
Or 9 Inch Nails. Sorry.
9 Inch Nails,
yeah, sorry. That would be so great. Sure. They're instrumentals. I'll stop interrupting.
No,
Go ahead.
I'll just
drink my water.
It's just a pretty simple breakdown. I more just want to talk about some of the scenery stuff. But anyway, they eventually get to the Dark Crystal, and he merges it. And then...
Kira dies temporarily.
Kira does die.
But she comes back to life.
She does come back to life. And then it turns out that the Mystics and the Skeksis came from the same people, and they were shattered when the Dark Crystal shattered, and they merged back into one, and they're benevolent beings, so...
And then they go off on their space journey. And they leave them with the Crystal of Truth.
That's right. And then everything is shiny and happy at the end. Instead of a desert wasteland, the castle's surrounded by a brook, and...
Is it?
Yeah, there's water, like a river, and some...
I think I turned it off as soon as I saw a credit.
Fair enough. Yeah, so... Yeah, like Devin was saying, pretty simple story.
Yeah.
But my main qualms with, like I was saying, was just there's a great... It's not a great scene, but there's a scene where it just pans past, a marsh.
Yeah.
And it's 2 minutes long, and everything's all puppetry, and everything's so well made.
So beautiful.
And it's beautiful, but it's
it's so
it saps the energy from the movie.
Yeah.
Right?
Also, I want to talk about the voice acting a little bit.
Okay.
I think this movie could have benefited from some very good voice actors for Jen and Kira specifically.
Yeah.
But mostly Jen. There were many times, or I don't know if it was the script or the acting.
Yeah.
But there was many times, like there's a part where they're in the pub. Or the Kira's...
Yeah, right, with the podlings, and they're all having their time.
And they're having a party.
Yeah, they're having a party.
And he's, like, having a conversation with her.
Yeah.
And he's, like, tells her what he does, and he goes, and that's all I know. And it's like, oh, that's it. That's the end of that conversation.
That's all he knows.
Like, okay.
Nice.
And it's just laid out, too. It's like, oh, I've got this dark crystal, and I gotta go fix it, and that's all I know.
That's... Yeah, and he doesn't even know, like, where he's going.
Where he's going, what he's doing. Yeah. And that's all I know.
And that's all I know.
I don't... Yeah, anyways.
Let's see, what do I got here? So, yeah, I think like Devin was saying, the great creature stuff is great, is awesome. The storytelling is...
Terrible.
Not very good.
I think the story isn't great either.
Sure, it's very simple, but it could have been... jazzed up is the word I'm looking for in some kind of way, right? But
I think the story is fine, but maybe it should have been like told in a different order, or definitely the pacing should have like maybe we get introduced to Jen right away as his master's dying, and then like as he goes on his journey he learns
about the Skeksis and stuff like that.
Yeah, like he gathers information at the same time as the audience.
Yes. Well, and I think just like trimming that 5-minute scene down from the beginning with like some actual puppetry action and either some backstory or not would have definitely benefited. And I think so there's 2 dinner scenes in the movie.
Oh my god, it was gross to watch.
And the one with the Skeksis, again, it's like an amazing feat of puppetry and animatronics and art, but you're just like, it saps the entire energy of the movie, and they have a little bit of dialogue here and there, but it's just not, like, they could have easily had that scene, you know, somebody talking to us, like one Skeksis talking to another over something else and not having to try to eat with all of them at a table. Because like I say, it's amazing because I know I've watched some behind the scenes footage operating these things.
You know that it's a lot of work.
It's an
and that's why it's in there.
Yeah, exactly. But I was just like, man, this scene, even when it started, I was like, okay, they're eating. And I was just like, oh, this is not.
So you gotta watch it in 1.5 speed.
Yeah. Because, there was a little bit of dialogue about basically like, oh, we gotta capture them and this and that. And I was like, could have been told in a better way. Right.
Oh, yeah. Most of the scenes could have been told in a better way. The end.
Right. Well, and because even the scene when they're on the river and it's just Kira and Jen
having a little sing-song time.
Yeah, having a little sing-song time, and then they get spotted by that bat. That's literally Jim Henson and whoever was operating Kira lying down in a flat boat with a boat on top of them, with the camera focused so they don't see them, and they're puppetrying it. And it's just, again, it's amazing feat of technology and will, and then you're just like, this scene.
It's too bad that you guys couldn't hire a writer.
But I think the dinner scene as well was just a kind of, a scene that could have been...
You know what I did like about it?
Okay.
What's that, the sexy that goes rogue?
The Chamberlain. Yes.
Yeah, I did like that every scene ends with him looking at the camera going,
Yeah. Well, and I just wanted to get... So speaking of the Skeksis, the people who operated them...
Were they inside them?
They were inside them. And they also were the people who created them. So they took...
Oh, very cool.
David Frau's designs and then created... And, like, basically, like, every single one was created by the creator, and so then that's why, like, the armor looks all different, the jewelry looks all different, because they all made them their own, essentially.
That's kind of cool.
It's very cool, yeah.
The scene where the Emperor dies and
turns to dust.
Dust is pretty neat, hey?
It's very well done.
Very spooky.
Yes. And then it's not clued in how... Because the Mystics and the Skeksis are the same, because at that, then they cut to the other Mystic dying.
Yeah.
And then later, when one gets injured, the other gets injured, but it's...
So here's a question. If the Mystics are the good guys, right?
Yeah. Well, they're the good side of the creatures.
Yeah. And they know that the Skeksis are evil.
Yeah.
Why don't they just all kill themselves? Why don't they sacrifice themselves for the greater good?
Well...
This is why I can't write children's books.
Perhaps maybe that was like a final option if the crystal wasn't reunited.
I would have done it day one.
Well, because they had that prophecy, because they mentioned it a couple times about how the crystal will...
Yeah, but how many fucking gelflings died?
Many gelflings died before this prophecy.
I mean, they're hideous looking, so I guess that's okay.
Maybe they're forbidden from killing themselves. Maybe there's a thing.
By what?
Maybe it doesn't work the other way around.
Why can't they hire someone to kill them?
We never saw a mystic die and then a Skeksis die.
Oh.
Maybe it doesn't work the other way.
Because evil is too powerful?
Yeah, or they're just like too selfish to let go or whatever. You know?
Okay.
Because we never saw that in play.
I'll accept
I that's a good question.
Yeah.
And if we had seen a scene
where one got hurt.
Where one got hurt and a Skeksis didn't, or some kind of information there. Again, maybe a little could have been
maybe in the
trim that dinner scene down. We show something like this happening.
Yeah.
Because the Mystics
I just feel like that would have been a great solution to the genocide.
There's
only
had a good
like
design.
10 of them at this point.
Yes. The Mystics had a really good design as well, but we just don't get a lot of scenes of that, like mostly just scenes of them walking.
And going,
Yeah, exactly, which is boring. But they have like 4 arms and...
They did?
Yeah, they had 4 arms. Yeah, like there was a lot going on in their design, but it was very... we just didn't see as much of them as compared to the Skeksis.
Yeah.
What else? Let's see. So, it took them 5 years to make that movie.
Oh boy.
So I think they shot it in just under 2, but they had been working on it for 5 in total. So it was
Holy
it was a whole
I
big
believe
project.
it because you look at it and you know it's a passion project.
Yes.
But it was like I was texting you when I was watching it.
Yeah.
Because that's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
The storytelling element did feel like you were listening to somebody's dream, which is always boring.
Yes.
Like, I had a dream where this dark crystal fell from the sky and it split and there's these Skeksis and then there's the mist and it's like, I'm already bored. Why are you talking?
Well, I want to talk about my favorite scene, which was the life drain scene. So
yeah, it was cool.
One of the Skeksis, one of the Skeksis has a pod person, and then they open up this chamber, like he straps him to a chair, open up this little thing, and this reflector comes that reflects the light of the dark crystal. Mm-hmm. And it goes into his eyes, and then it's like purplish, and then his face all starts contorting, and I was like...
It was really cool.
It's really well done. And then the Emperor at this point, he drinks the life drain.
So it drains like his life essence into a little bottle.
Yeah,
which is liquid.
Yeah, he drinks it, and then they do a scene, and they show his skin getting younger and his face getting younger, and he's like, ha, and then it inverses at one point later.
Almost instantly.
Yeah, they're like, the breeding wasn't powerful enough.
It only works with gelflings.
Well, it'll work better, they suspect, with gelfling, right?
Because gelflings...
More magic. We don't know.
Whatever.
Yeah, but I just thought it was so cool, and just like the face, because it wasn't just like staring in there, like it starts to contort and be all like, oh no!
Oh, totally. Yeah. And that's how they turn them into slaves.
Into slaves, yes.
I thought that was cool, because they show the slaves at one point.
Yes.
And then they give you an explanation for the slaves, because I just figured, it's enslaved things.
Yeah, like a enslaved race, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. It happens all the time.
It does happen in fantasy universes.
Yes. But I thought it was cool that they kind of gave a reason why and how they enslaved them.
Yes.
Which was neat.
Yeah, because then they eventually, when they capture Kira, they're going to do the same thing.
Yeah, they partially do it to her.
Yeah, it goes on her for a little bit, but nothing really.
What would happen if she drank her life essence? Would she be better?
I think she would just be normal.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
She would just get it back.
Get back, bam, bam, bam.
And then,
bam, bam.
So the big climax, they're in the castle.
It's not really a big climax.
Okay, well, and there's a planetary conversion. That's why this quest is happening. It's every 1,000 years. The 3 planets are in a line. And I just thought, so they're there. And they do the classic, like, puppet jump. And it's literally just like they just threw it. They're just like, and it just looks hilarious. It's supposed to be an epic moment. He's jumping on the dark crystal because it's hanging over a pit of lava and stuff like that. Yeah, it's just like, whee! Yeah.
This Jim Henson toss.
Yeah, basically. And it made me chuckle, of course, right? But and then he gets on there, and it's just again so funny because there's like the bugs and the Skeksis, and they're all trying to stop each other or get in the way, but it's all just puppetry. Like, they're all like, "Oh no!" and then they're just like flailing their arms. It's good stuff. And then he gets the dark crystal. puts it in there.
And then they
merges
become, and everybody lives happily ever after.
And the castle, they do this great collapsing effect, which was practical.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because that was a whole big set they built.
And then they just broke
they broke it. Yeah.
Guys.
Yeah. But yeah, they built that whole castle set.
That's
like
awesome.
The interior, anyway. It was all built. Of course, the outside was a model.
Do you know what the coolest character design in it for me was?
What?
Their weird horse things.
Oh, yeah?
Those are so creepy. I loved them.
The Windstriders, is that what they're called or something?
I don't know.
Okay.
Creepy horse things.
Creepy horse things. Do you want to know what that was?
Yes.
Okay, so they hired a lot of mimes and, circus performers to do the puppetry and the animation for the...
Was it a contortionist?
No, it was a guy on stilts, 10-foot stilts. So he brought them in and he was walking around.
That's why their joints are backwards.
Yes, he was walking around on them, and then Jim Henson was like, what if we gave you 4 stilts? And the guy was like... And then that's when they came up with the Windstriders.
Oh, that's so cool.
So it's 2 people on stilts, and then with the creature put on top of them, and then they had to design a crane to hold them because it was heavy. So if it collapsed, it would like fall on them. So they had the crane to holding them with a safety wire when they do
cool.
like their running and stuff like that. And then they're fighting when they fight the bugs. I forget the bugs are called. But,
that fight scene was sad.
Yeah. It's funny too because it's like there's like 7 of those bugs or whatever, 10 of them, and there's only 2 of the Windstriders, and yet they hold their own. I was like, oh, this Windstriders are just gonna get crushed.
You know what
These elite bugs are not very elite.
Okay, so Kira is way more competent than Jen. I just want to say that.
Well, because it seems like she's been living in the swamp and by her wits, not like with the mystics and the coddled or whatever, right? So,
yeah, and she's also just way more competent than Jen.
Yes.
So she got her little slingshot and she can talk to the animals.
Yes.
But you know what was weird is that she asked these wind riders to help them.
Yeah.
And then she was just like, oh, they're dead. Doop, doop, doop.
She realized there's greater things at stake. There's no time to mourn.
There was no no.
Yeah.
It was just.
Well, and even they go down the crevice where one of them fell down.
Yeah.
and there's no
wings.
Oh. Yeah.
That was one of my favorite lines. He's like, you have wings? And she's like, yeah, I'm a girl.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that makes total sense. Thank you, the Dark Crystal.
Yeah. Yeah, they go down there and there's no mourning scene or...
No.
Oh no, my friend.
She steps over it.
Yeah. There's greater things.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anything more. Like I said, I watched a behind the scenes thing and it was pretty incredible to hear Frank Oz and Henson talk about this project. And
I feel like the behind the scenes would be more interesting to watch than the movie.
I mean, it was pretty good.
Because you still get the passion, the artistry and everything, but it's a more interesting story.
Of course, yeah. Yeah. And
because it's just not an interesting story.
Sure. Which is too bad because
don't at me, Dark Crystal stands.
No. when like I said, when you're watching this and you hear the passion and everything, and you're like, man, it's too bad this wasn't better than it was.
Too bad it wasn't good.
But it was successful.
Yeah.
Which was good for them because it budgeted was about $15 million. It made about $40.5 million in its run.
Good for them.
So
that's awesome.
It did well. So
cool.
Which is great for the Henson company.
Would you recommend people watch it?
Yeah. I said, I think I would. Just because of the sheer artistry of it.
I think I would recommend it with a caveat of don't expect a good story.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that it is kind of slow, even though it's 90 minutes long.
Just watch it on 1.5 speed. Yeah. 1.5 speed. You're fine.
Yeah, fair enough.
But you know what is a great film?
Yeah. Skipping ahead here to 1986.
Yes. The film Labyrinth, starring David Bowie and Jennifer Connelly.
Yes.
I always want to say her name is O'Connelly.
I always say it wrong with an N. I would say Connelly or something like that. I've screwed it up.
Oh, I don't know what her name is.
But it is Colony. I think you're right.
She's from that other movie I didn't like that everyone liked. Attila Battle Man.
Alita Battle Angel? Yeah, she was in that.
She had a gem on her forehead. And I will always think of her as Sarah from Labyrinth.
Sure.
It doesn't matter what she's in.
I mean, she's been in a ton of stuff, right?
She was in The Rocketeer as Sarah from Labyrinth. And it's not because she's a bad actress.
No.
It's because I watched Labyrinth pretty much every day from when I was 4 to when I was 8 or 9 or 10 kind of thing. We had it on beta, and then we had it on VHS, and then I had it on DVD. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I think it holds up. Mm-hmm. I can probably quote parts from it for you. I could sing you the soundtrack, but I didn't rewatch it for today because I ran out of time and money. I'm having issues with my computer.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, so you very much enjoy it.
Yeah.
On my recent rewatch, which I did 2 days ago.
So had you seen it as a child?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely had seen it before, because I recall.
That's like the first movie. No, that's not true. The first movie I remember watching was Little Mermaid.
Nice.
In the theater. But it's one of the first movies I remember watching.
Like sticks to you?
Yeah, it was Labyrinth and Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, because my parents, I guess, didn't monitor what I was watching. Not that it's
Bill and
bad.
Ted's great.
I know it's great. They're making a third one.
Yes.
Follow their Twitter account.
Nice.
Okay, anyway, sorry.
That's good.
I interrupted you.
No.
Did you watch it as a kid?
Well, yeah, like I said, I didn't watch it as frequently, but I definitely remember seeing it a couple times here and
Yeah.
there. But it was definitely...
I wanted to be the Goblin King so badly. I mean, I loved Thra, and I wanted that ball gown.
Right.
And I wanted the dress that she's wearing in the beginning when she's like kind of doing the play acting in the park.
Yeah.
But I really, really wanted to be the Goblin King. I wanted to have my own Goblin Kingdom and Labyrinth.
And Labyrinth, yes.
Yeah. And an oubliette.
Yeah. Yeah, I did enjoy it on my recent rewatch, but I did have some qualms with it. But again, I feel that there's movie technique that has just changed, right?
Yeah.
And again, here was my thing with both these movies. They both had the long intro credit scenes, and fortunately modern movies, for the most part, don't do that anymore.
I think...
Because it was a detriment to the movie, both of them. Right?
Labyrinth is better than Dark Crystal, though.
Yes, but that's because it has a David Bowie song playing over top of it.
Yeah, I mean, what's wrong with that, Dan?
If they're gonna do that kind of thing, they could have done the credits over her play acting.
Yeah.
Right? And then it's just like, with the song... And then we're immediately introduced, instead of having a bad CGI owl, not saying it's not terrible for the time, 86, fine, but George Lucas, we don't want your CGI owl in there. Give me a real owl or no owl. Right.
That's fair. That's like, I have a tattoo basically of that owl.
You do.
Yeah.
No, so, but that's what I'm saying.
I think they use a real owl occasionally.
Oh yeah, no, there's definitely a real owl occasionally.
Yeah.
I just mean these credit sequence, it's an animated owl. The whole time.
Yeah.
Detriment.
Okay.
But that's because credit scenes were a thing back then.
Yes.
You don't do that anymore for the most part.
There used to be an Academy Award for it, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's why when you watch, like, Gone with the Wind, which I know you do every weekend.
Sure.
That's why you have, like, a fucking 20-minute,
and I think
credits.
I used to also enjoy credit scenes when they're clever and good and stuff like that, but I think the modern style is to either you do a credit sequence or it's like in media res, like your credit sequence is part of your start of the movie. Or you do like a James Bond thing where it's like we see a scene, credits, movie, right?
Totally.
Kind of thing. So modern techniques, fine.
Okay.
So I wasn't taking points away from the movie for that. I was just like, it would just benefit from that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I did not like the owl though, but that's again bad CG.
Yeah.
Fine. But the rest of the whole movie, aside from I think one scene, and I think according to what I was reading on the internet, it's mostly people's agreed that it's the weakest scene.
Which scene?
The Fireys one.
No! Yeah. I love them.
Really?
I love that song.
I didn't like it very much. I felt it sapped some of the energy from the movie. The compositing, because again, I watched behind the scenes, and the technical marvel of it. Incredible. But I didn't like the scene in the movie itself. That's just me?
Okay. Can I summarize the movie?
Yeah, no, I was saying it's your movie. You summarize it.
It's my movie.
It's your movie, Devin.
Okay.
Summarize away.
So, Sarah is our protagonist.
Yes.
She lives with her dad and her stepmom. Her mom's dead. I think she used to be an actress.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That's why there's all those,
And she's approximately 14 to 16. I'm not sure.
14 to 16.
I know Connelly was 14 at the time.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm assuming that.
14 to 16. Her stepmom wants her to be interested in boys. And every weekend she gets stuck babysitting her little brother.
I assume her stepbrother.
Her stepbrother or little brother. Yeah. It's not really specified. Toby.
Yeah. What's that?
Toby,
yes.
Yeah. So she's frustrated, babysitting her little brother. She asks the Goblin King to take this child far away from me. And I love it. That scene where you get all the goblins underneath the bed and they're like, she's gonna say it, she's gonna say it. Sorry, I'm gonna get way too excited talking about this.
Are they under the bed? Is that I always just figured they were in some kind of nether dimension, like waiting to come into our world.
I thought they were under the bed because you see the pillows move and stuff.
Oh, I didn't pick up on that. Because obviously they're
If you watch behind her, the pillows are moving and you can see like tails going and stuff like that. So I always assumed they were under the bed.
Oh, well, because when she comes back, they're all around, but I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we can watch the scene and I'll show you.
Yeah, that's fine. Continue.
Okay.
Sorry.
So, she leaves the bedroom.
Yeah.
Comes and Toby
the baby was crying at the time. Yeah.
Toby stops. She goes back. He's not in the crib. The Goblin King shows up and he goes, "I took the baby away. You're welcome."
Yeah.
And she's like, "No, I didn't want you to do that." And he's like, "Well, then you have 13 hours." And there's a clock with 13 hours on it. And it's
great.
Such a beautiful clock.
Yeah, it's a really well made clock.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it's just that scene where they go from her parents' bedroom to like kind of this weird like Dolly-esque like sandscape with the tree and the.
It's almost like it's not even like a shot reverse and then they're there. It's almost like they just do a camera turn and then they're just
there.
Like boom, it's there.
Yeah.
So it was very, very well done.
So he goes, "You get through this labyrinth.
Get to the castle, and
you can have the baby, but you got to do it in 13 hours."
Yes.
And she's like, "Oh," and so she complains a lot.
Yes, she does a lot.
She is the best whiner in this.
Yeah.
It's not fair.
Yeah, she says that a lot.
And then she meets Hoggle.
Yes.
Who's he kind of meets her at the gate, and
we get some subversion. We get some subversion because she.
Oh yeah, she thinks the fairies are light, nice, and then they bite her.
Bites her. Yeah.
But essentially, she's like, "I'm gonna get through this labyrinth," and like when I say it, I'm like I can hear Hako going, "Get through the labyrinth, get through the labyrinth." One thing she'll never do is get through the labyrinth. Anyway, so she goes into the labyrinth.
Yeah.
She bribes him. No, that's later.
That's
right?
later, yeah. The bribe.
So she
just asked the right question to get into the lab.
Yes. She finds a door.
Yeah.
Gets in. Skirts going. She has an awesome little repartee with a worm. Yeah, it's great.
Which does the classic. She's like, "Oh, don't go that way," and she's like, Sarah's like, "Oh, thank you." Yeah. And she leaves. She's out of the scene. She's like, "Oh, that other way leads to the castle."
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So we know immediately she's going the wrong way.
She's going the wrong way.
Yeah.
She's complaining. So, meanwhile at the castle, we get David Bowie singing to the baby. You remind me of the babe. What babe? Babe with power. What power? Voodoo. Who do you do? Do what? Remind me of the babe. I'm gonna try not to sing over herself.
Okay.
Okay, so she goes through the labyrinth. She comes to a door. Two doors.
The two-door classic.
One with who always tells the truth, and one of the guards always lies.
Yes.
She picks the wrong one. She ends up falling into an oubliette.
Yes.
That's that part, right?
I think so, yes.
Yeah. With all the hands.
Yeah. The helpful hands.
Such a freaking cool scene.
It's pretty creepy, too. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And then some of them look like little faces and stuff. Yeah. So then Hoggle comes to her rescue, but he's sent by Jared, who's the Goblin King. Or Jareth or Jared?
I think it's Jareth.
Yeah. Jareth. Yeah. I always mix it up.
Yeah.
So they kind of team up for a bit. They run into Jareth. He throws a crystal and it turns into a big angry machine and they have to run and escape it.
Because he's like, "How do you find my maze?" And she's bravado. She's like, "It's super easy."
No, she says piece of cake.
And then he's like, "Oh yeah, really?" And then he throws in this giant.
How about this little slice? Yeah. Sorry, I've watched it way too many times.
And then a big giant tunnel-filled spiky machine comes.
It's the cleaners.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks so scary.
It does. Yeah.
When you're looking at, because it's all these like blades and stuff, but then it's just this little guy on a bike.
On the bike backwards. Yeah.
So they narrowly escape. They kind of talk to somebody who looks a bit like he's got like a weird headdress that looks like a sexy, actually.
Yeah.
Who's not very helpful. And then they come across Bluno. Who's tied up and getting tortured. Who's this big...
Well, I think at that point it's just her. Hoggle is already broken away again.
Whatever.
Because he's like, "I'm out."
Yeah, he gets his prize and then he leaves. Yeah. Because he's terrified of Jared.
Yes.
She rescues Hoggle. They come to the door knockers. She takes the thing out, puts it back in.
Yeah.
It's great.
I was curious about that scene, and I was like, she could have gone through the other door.
I know, that's always bothered me.
Yeah. Okay, so it wasn't just me, because she's like, how do I open the door? He's like, you gotta knock, and she's like, oh, here, put the knocker back in your mouth, and I was
knock,
like,
and the door will open.
Yeah, and I was like,
then she holds his nose and puts it.
Yeah, I was like, well, she could just go through the other one.
Yeah. Anyways, she goes into the woods with Bluno.
Yes.
That's where the fire scene happened. The fire, what are they called?
I think they're called Fireys.
Fireys. Yeah.
Like Firies.
Yeah. And you don't like it. But they can take limbs off, and they can take their head off, and they're throwing it around, and they're trying to take her head off.
Well, and Bluno falls.
Into
like a pit. We don't know where he went.
Yeah, and then she falls.
No.
Where did...
She goes to the edge, and then Hoggle throws her a rope. And then she climbs out.
Oh, that's right. And they end up in the bog of eternal stench.
That's right, because she kisses him.
Yes. She kisses him, and Jareth had said if he'd throw him headfirst into the bog of eternal stench.
Yes.
Which is like a swamp with poopy sounding.
Yes. I felt that the poopy effect was a little far.
It's a kid's movie.
Kinda.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a teenager-esque movie, let's say. I don't know, like, the first few times, okay, yes, it's the bog, but then every 10 seconds it was just like long fart sound, and I was like, alright, this is...
But you have to admit...
The bog looked great. Don't get me wrong on that, yeah.
But if you don't love the scene where Bluto is running across the rocks and each one is like a tiny little fart, there's something wrong with it.
No, that was great. I just meant the overall background noise of it. Oh, he's continuously farting. It was like, we got it, it's stinky.
Yeah. So they find a bridge to get over the bog. It's guarded by a little dog that rides a dog.
Yes.
What's his name? I can't remember.
Don't remember.
Okay, it's Lord...
He's a knight.
Sir something.
Yeah.
He basically...
Protects the bridge.
They try to fight him, it doesn't work, and then she basically is like, can we have your permission to go across the bridge?
Well, it does work, because he salutes Bluno, and he's like, you were a match, and well done, sir, kind of thing. He's like, you're my brother. And then she tries to go, and he's like, no, I didn't give you permission to cross the bridge.
Yeah, and she's like, can I have your permission? And he's like, yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
But then the bridge crumbles.
And
no. Bluto calls the rocks because he's got this cool ability.
Rock song powers. Yeah.
Rock song powers that get across the bridge. Hoggle gives Thra a peach that was given to him by Jared that puts her into like a mind bubble.
Yes.
Well, it's such a good scene. The masquerade scene with that song and her dress.
And also noted that's the only scene without a puppet.
Oh, yeah. But they have the cool masks that look like the puppets.
Yeah.
Ugh, I love that scene so much.
Yeah, it's all meant to be like, a Baroque 18th century kind of thing.
It's so cool. And David Bowie's makeup is so great. He's just like the king of highlighter in it.
Yeah.
It's so good. I've seen people cosplay as them in that scene.
I believe that. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Nice.
Anyways, the bubble bursts. She ends up in a junkyard. In probably my favorite scene in the whole movie, where the garbage lady leads her into her room and she's just going to go on with her life, and then she realizes that it's all trash.
Yeah.
I don't know why I love that scene so much. And she like...
Well, yeah, it's interesting because the lady's like, oh, you need this, and like, you need this, and then it's like, basically she's
turning her into one of the trash ladies.
Into the trash lady.
And then she's like, it's all trash. She's like, even this? This is... And he's like, yes! And then she throws it and gets out, and she meets up with her friends.
Yeah.
They end up at the Labyrinth, the castle.
The castle, yeah.
They fight the big robot thing.
Yes.
It's really cool. They get into the castle. Goblins are attacking them. Bluto calls the rocks.
The rocks, yeah.
And then they make it to the castle. They want to follow her, and she goes, no, I gotta do this by myself. We get the crazy MC Escher, like...
Set for real. Like, they built that.
Set for real.
Yeah, they built it. It's awesome.
Yeah, didn't they get in trouble because they put the baby, like, 30 feet up or something?
Well, it was Brian Sproud's baby, so...
Yeah, but still. So she's like trying to get to Toby, and David Bowie's walking upside down, and he's singing an amazing song.
Yeah.
And then it culminates. Thank you.
Yeah.
In the scene where...
Because like it shatters.
And
then they're just on one platform.
And he's like... I can't remember exactly, but he's like, love me, worship me, do everything I want, or do everything I say, and you can have...
He's like, I'll do everything for you.
And you can have everything, right? Yeah. And then she gives her line, which is from her play at the beginning. which I don't need to recite, right? Do I need to?
If you want to recite it, yeah.
Which is like, through dangers untold and hardships unnumbered, I fought my way here beyond the
To the castle beyond?
to the castle beyond the Goblin City to take back what you have stolen. My will is as great as yours, and my kingdom is, or my will is as strong as yours, and my kingdom is great.
Yeah.
You have no power over me.
No, snap.
She can't remember you have no power over me. And then she remembers, and then everything twinkles down, and she's back in her room, and Toby's there, and her parents come home.
Yay.
And then she's sad because she misses her friends, and then you get like that cool scene where like, should you need us? Breaks my heart. Anyways, I love Labyrinth. And then we get more CG Owl for the credits.
Yes.
And the extended version of Underground, which is a great song.
Sure.
Yeah. Anyways.
That's the movie.
That's the movie. I'm sorry. I went way too much into detail.
No,
I obviously like the movie and I recommend it.
Yeah.
What about you, Dan?
Well, I mean, I have some notes here about the movie. Like I said, I did enjoy it overall, and it's a good watch for sure. There's no doubt about it. The credits I already spoke about. The Fiery's music number I already spoke about. But I did like that this one, they had more money for this one.
Yeah.
Far more money. $10 million more. So they had $25 million budget. So they did a good mix of big and small creatures, like the guard at the Goblin City, like Devin mentioned. That was a 15-foot tall puppet that they built.
Oh, I sped past it, but it was a really great scene.
Yeah, no, it's a great scene, but it's like they built that, and no one had built something like that before. And that's what's so crazy as well, is that these guys are like, had to invent these things that we probably take for granted now in modern movie making. Like the guy's like, I had to make like this polyurethane blah 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 because the other material wasn't working right. And it's like, that's the standard material now that people use to build things.
Oh, totally, yeah.
And same thing when I think it was the moss creatures that are on the wall that when she first walks in, there's like
with the eyeballs?
With the eyeballs.
Oh my god, those were so cool.
They're very cool, and the guy had to invent how they would move, like, and etc. Like, he's like, I had to invent this like wire technique and blah blah blah. So it's just like, it's crazy. Again, the artistry and the passion is totally all there. And so I did like the mix of big and small creatures that they had in this one comparatively to Dark Crystal. Sorry.
They have mostly smaller creatures.
They're mostly smaller, except for the couple Windstriders are bigger, and the bug creatures. But this one had a greater mix, I think.
Blue Note.
Yeah.
Is pretty big.
Is big, and that costume weighed like 75 pounds, and they tried to keep it lighter, and it still was like 75 pounds, and so he had two people working it. So
I believe it.
Get a break, essentially. The Bowie soundtrack, I mean...
Oh, it's so good. It's
so classic.
If you're not going to watch it, at least download.
Sure.
But you'll get more out of it if you also watch it.
Yeah, and I think for me, my favorite scene was the confrontation at the end in the F. Escher set.
Oh, it's so cool.
It's very cool.
And that song is so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like, and him, just like images of this movie pop in my head, like when he's walking and he just goes to the upside down, like it's like he's falling, but then he's just walking upside down, and it's so cool, man.
Well, and I watched some behind the scenes. I don't know if you want to know a little about how they achieved that. So they created, it's a body doubled / dummy, and then they shot it, and they had it like on a mechanism that could go up and down, and so it would like fully go inversion and then or fully go the other direction, like that scene when she's walking and then he comes up in front of her, right? So
which is so cool.
And so again, they had to use clever techniques and camera tricks and real props because they couldn't just CG it.
Yeah, right. Because it just wasn't an option back then.
Exactly, right. So as far as the movie, the Jennifer Connelly performance is really good.
Oh, she's great.
She's great. But she, she is so whiny. You're just like, oh my god, lady.
And she's also, she has a really good character.
That's what I was saying. She's very selfish, and then she kind of starts to realize...
She's selfish, she's whiny, and she thinks she's super smart. Like, the scene where she's interacting with the two doors, she's just like, it could be easier.
And then she falls into a pit of ants. Yeah, exactly. So she definitely changes over time, which is great.
Yeah.
That's what your characters to do in a journey like this.
And the development of the friendship between her and Hoggle is really great too. Like, you feel like Like, you feel Hoggle warm up to her.
Yeah, because initially she bribes Hoggle's for help, right?
Yeah.
She's like, oh, I'll give you this bracelet if you take me as far as you can, and then that's cool.
And then when you get to the robot scene at the gate, he essentially, like, almost sacrifices himself. Yeah.
He gets on there and makes it all happen, right? So, yeah, it's really good. I don't know. I have a bunch of... What's that?
Thra?
Maybe. I honestly don't remember the name.
I think it's something like that.
Yeah, probably. It was probably so annoying for me to remember.
What was his dog name? But his dog looks like her dog.
Yeah, her dog's name was Merlin.
Yeah.
His is, I think it started with like an A. It was like Archibald or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember it either. But I don't know. I got a bunch of behind the scenes stuff really, but as far as the movie itself, enjoyable watch. Like I said, just the two things that kind of bothered me about it.
I feel like it still stands up today.
Yeah.
And I feel like it stands up a lot more than Dark Crystal does.
I suppose in different ways.
For enjoyability of watching a film.
Sure. Yeah, because it's not one of those things where like, oh, these effects look dated or whatever. It's like, no, it's practical effects that always... they're executed well, so they always look good.
But the story is more interesting. There's better character development.
Sure.
There's a better soundtrack. Obviously
a better
Belly.
Yeah. Well, and that was one of the things that they wanted to make this one more comedic versus the Dark Crystal.
Yeah, it's like a fun movie. It's a movie that's fun.
Yeah, exactly.
And the Dark Crystal was not that.
No, it was meant to be more of a dark, no pun. Yeah, a dark-esque kind of thing, right? So, whereas this one, they wanted it to be more comedic and lighthearted. So that's why, like the scene, the Dance Magic Dance scene, it's very fun and whimsical.
It's so great when he's throwing the baby.
And he's throwing the baby around, right? Exactly.
Which is obviously a dummy.
Yes.
And you can tell.
You can tell when it's not versus when it's real.
But when I was watching it as a kid, I always thought that was like a real baby getting thrown around. Not that I was concerned. I was just like, I want to be that goblin kid. I want to throw babies.
Yeah. Well, and interesting that scene.
Do the babies turn into the goblins? It's never super clear.
I think that's what Jareth is saying. He's like, if you don't get the baby back in 13 hours, he becomes a goblin. Gotcha. That's what I understood from the plot.
Yeah.
So, like from the setup, right? So.
Wait, he'll have her too, isn't he, or something like that?
No, I think she'll just fail.
No, he says that to the baby where he goes in 9 hours and 22 minutes. You'll be mine.
Yeah, so it's just she'll fail and go back to real world or whatever, and
have to explain to her parents where her baby brother.
And not have gifts or powers or whatever he promised in exchange.
Yeah, he wanted to marry her or something. Or why did he want a 14-year-old girl? Wait, let's not ask that question. No, let's just enjoy this movie.
Sure. No, because again, it's more. I always took it that he would just grant her powers or wishes,
and he'd own her.
Yeah, and then he would just, she'd be some kind of like subservient person.
I was always like, why didn't you take that deal?
Yeah, sounds like a good deal.
Sounds like a great deal.
No, because she's fighting against the Goblin King.
Independent. She knows she has to do things on her own. That's what she learns along the way.
Exactly. And the power of friendship. Yeah. So yeah, they wanted it to be more comedic, and that's why it's definitely far different. I was pleasantly happy, of course, that they brought David Bowie back, and that it was hilarious that it was literally his child.
Yeah.
Because there's some great in the behind the scenes. There's an interview with Jim Henson, and he's like, they always say there's 3 things you should never work with in a movie, and it's animals, babies, and puppets. And he's like, and I already do two of the 3. So he's like, might as well do this one. And he's like, now I can see why they say don't work with a baby. Because of course there's scenes where they're like, the baby's wherever, and they're like, okay, look this way. Because he's like, it's fine, it's easy to get a baby to look a certain way, but he's like, but then we have to want it to like express a certain expression. Yeah. Not easy to do.
I actually watched a video about how they make babies cry in movies.
Oh, really?
And how they can do it in a non-traumatic way to the baby. Because some handlers will just scare the baby and make it cry.
Sure.
But this handler was saying that if you start crying, the baby will mimic you. Yeah, so she would like start to look upset, and then the babies would get upset, and it's apparently less traumatic for them than like banging a pot or something.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's see. So the Hoggle character, this was interesting. It took 5 people to make Hoggle.
Really?
Yeah, there was one little person wearing a costume, and then 4 other people controlling its face.
Oh, I believe that.
And it had 18 motors in it for its eyes, mouth, and etc. It was the most intricate thing ever built. And the hands, Hoggle's hands, were attached. Like so the little person was having to manipulate Hoggle's hands even from within the costume. So they had to practice using that even.
So they were like a puppeteer.
Yeah. Well, yeah, she had to learn how to actually like manipulate Hoggle's hands because they were like big clamps, right? They're not like normal fingers, so it was like difficult. There was shots of they're like, okay, get like that handkerchief out of the pocket, and she was like, because it was hard to work with.
Yeah.
And like I was saying with the Bluno or whatever, he was 2 different people were working that because it was just really big.
That's
and then
great.
the Fireys was like I said, it was a technical mastery because
they throw their limbs around.
these puppets come apart, and so there's like 4 people, I think, 4 or 5 people operating every single one.
Oh my gosh, and there's a lot of them.
And there's like 5 of them, maybe, I think, or 6, and then they shot that all with black background, them all in velvet, and then they composited it onto the foreground.
That makes sense, because you can tell that it's...
You can very much tell it's composited.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I'm not bashing that. That's what you gotta do. And then there was one other... Oh, I forgot.
Sorry, my singing.
Forgot what I was going to say. There was another puppet that I really liked its design and implementation, but
all of them?
Well, of course, all of them. Yes.
Wait, was it a bigger one or a smaller one?
I can't remember. It'll come to me.
The rocks? That was pretty good puppeteering.
Actually, yeah, they had to be like... They were remote controlled.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
So cool.
Also, for anyone...
Because sometimes they roll forward and then back.
Yeah, they were remote controlled. No, I was going to say, anybody who is a fan of Star Trek The Next Generation, Beverly Crusher, I don't know her name, she's the choreographer of the movie.
What?
For the goblins movements, not for the David Bowie dancing, but for like the goblins and the rocks and like other things. She's all there, and the dance scene in the ballroom dance scene, she choreographs it.
What?
Yeah, I know. She shows up, and I was like, "Where Crusher? What are you doing here?"
Weird.
Yeah, so I just thought that was weird.
I guess she was a dancer.
I suppose so. Yes.
Interesting.
She's British, and took that kind of thing. I don't know. I don't really have any other really notes. I mean, the MC
it's a
Escher,
good movie. Go watch it.
Yeah, the MC. I think the MC Escher scene is such a standout scene that they built this big giant set. They're running around on it.
Oh, it's cool.
He was saying that even like people who built it were getting disoriented because of the way it's lit and just like
I bet.
the stairs look real, and then you're just like, oh no wait, I can't go down there.
Oh.
Yeah. I suppose we should mention the David Bowie juggling.
Oh, did he do the contact juggling himself?
No. So they brought in,
I didn't think so.
Yeah, they brought in a magician, of course, who does that. And what they had to do was David Bowie...
Yeah, he went behind him, basically.
Yeah, he went behind him, and so he's juggling behind David Bowie, and he's blind, because he has to crouch down so he's not in the camera shot.
Yeah.
So he's doing everything blind, whereas it probably taught him that he depends too much on his eyes, because there's behind-the-scenes footage of just that simple one where he gives Hoggle the peach.
Yeah.
And he just does like the roll catch.
Yeah.
And it's just like roll drop, and then roll drop, and then David Bowie's kind of chuckling, and then he does the line again. He's like, "Wait, I have a better idea," and then it's like roll drop. And then he's talking with him, and he's like, "Oh, I had a great time." And he's like, "But I could sense," I think his name was Tim or something. Like that. He's like, Tim was getting frustrated. Right. So it probably taught him that he was depending too much on his eyes for his juggling. But of course, it's seamless in the movie.
In the movie, it's great. Yeah.
Which I was wondering until I watched this behind the scenes. I was like, did David Bowie learn how to do that?
Or he really just knows how to contact juggle?
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
If he did. But I was also like, I don't think so. But yeah, so I just thought that was kind of a little funny, like I said, the behind the scenes thing where, movie frustration and they're trying to make it.
Oh, for sure.
I don't know how many takes they eventually took, but eventually.
Probably a few.
Yeah, eventually it looks great.
It looks great, yeah.
I don't know. Do you have any other thoughts about the movie? I mean, I just kind of rambled on a bunch of stuff.
Well, I love it. I don't know. I'm not going to be objective objective?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to be objective about it because I love it. And I've always loved it.
Fair.
And it's a great movie. I've rewatched it. I've watched Labyrinth as much as I've watched Princess Bride. And I've watched a lot of Princess Bride.
Oh, actually, sorry, I do recall one thing I wanted to bring up. I was going to say it earlier when you were talking about the magic dance scene.
Yeah.
So that was a big stage set, of course.
Of course.
And so there
looks so cool with that sunken kind of...
Yes.
Yeah, sorry.
And that was, of course, so they could hide the puppeteers. And
but it just looks
all on the
cool.
walls.
It makes it... It gives so much cool ambience, though, right? Like, it makes it, like... I can't think of the word, but it makes you feel like it's a real place.
Sure, of course, and that's always when they build the set, it's like it's real versus something that's animated or what have you. But so there was 40 puppets that scene, and so there was 50 people controlling these puppets. And initially, they were talking. Tim Henson, I think it is, Jim's son, I assume. He was saying initially they were only going to have 20 puppets.
But then they made it out.
Yeah, and then they made it, and then they were like, the week before the scene, they were like, they added like 20 more. And they're like, so they had to hire a bunch more people. And there's people like above, like hanging, because they're controlling like flying hands and stuff like that. And the little people who are dressed as goblins in like their armor and stuff like that, they like attached them to wires and like lifted them up, because there's like that one that's jumping up and down.
Yeah.
But the funniest thing, they were saying that there was no direction about how the puppets should just act or dance or whatever. So they were just like, just be goblins. And that was like, so they're, they're just like, like, randomly.
That's so awesome.
And they don't even know if they're going to be on camera or not, right? Yeah. And they're just shooting, right?
I love that line when he's like, I can't remember what he says, he tells a joke and then he's like, well, laugh.
Well, laugh. And then they're all like,
I could just talk about David Bowie in that movie forever. But I won't.
Well, and I think this was the strength of, like Devin was saying with this one, with the human character. Oh, sorry.
They were going to have Prince do it.
Prince was the name?
Prince turned it down.
Oh, I didn't know you turned it down. I know that Michael Jackson was also a name they kicked around. Prince and Sting.
I could not see anybody else doing what David Bowie did.
Of course, now because he did it.
Because he did it.
Yeah.
I just feel like...
I know Sting was at the top of the list as well.
I feel like between David Bowie's very interesting look that he just has naturally.
The thin white duke.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's all that cocaine he was doing.
Of course. Tremendous amounts.
But between his like...
And he's got the hectochromia.
His different colored eyes, and the fact that he's kind of a little bit gaunt in the face.
Yeah.
Like, it's a very good starting point looks-wise for somebody that has to look kind of otherworldly.
Yeah.
And then his voice and the way he sings is it adds so much to... I'm a big David Bowie fan.
Yes.
I won't go on about it, but I really feel like nobody else could have played that part. And I don't feel like that about all David Bowie roles.
Sure.
Because if you watch The Man Who Fell to Earth, that's a bad movie. And he was probably not the right choice.
Right. Well, and at least when I was watching the Jim Henson interview about it, is he always wanted Bowie.
Yeah.
But I think they had to maybe kick around some other names just in case Bowie would say no, right?
That's fair. I guess I could see Sting doing it.
Yeah.
But not as good as Bowie.
No, of course not.
On a side note, though, The Man Who Fell to Earth, the book, is really good. The movie's just... They did a weird... It was the 70s. They made bad choices.
Yeah, fair enough. I was about to say, but it seemed like, though, unfortunately, this movie didn't catch on with audiences, though.
Oh, no, it is definitely a cult classic.
Yes, because it only made $13.7 million in its box office run.
They probably didn't market it well, or it came out at the wrong time of year, or maybe they just missed... Or maybe people still had a bad taste in their mouth from Dark Crystal.
It's a 4-year difference.
Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about audiences at the time and just why it didn't hit, right? Because who knows what was around at the same time. So
a lot of movies, though, like...
From that era,
They don't hit their stride until...
Well, and...
Like Clue.
And I was about to say, this is just box office numbers. Like you said, it made money on the secondary market through DVD rental or VHS rentals and sales, and then eventually DVDs, and then licensing and etc. Like, I'm sure it's made its money since that day.
The albums and the record.
Exactly, right. So it had all these other revenue streams going for it.
All the merch.
And all the merch. It had merch?
Well, it does now.
Speaking of merch, I don't know if it was initially... When you see Sarah's... armoire with the mirror or whatever, right? There is a statue of the Goblin King in the end of the movie, but I didn't know if there was one at the beginning of the movie.
Well, there's lots of stuff in her room that's reminiscent of...
Well, there's the Alice in Wonderland, the M.C. Escher painting, and then Where the Wild Things Are, and all that stuff is there.
Like, there's a lot of, like, even our, like, teddy bears and stuff looks like stuff that happens. Like, it kind of implies... So, okay.
But I was just curious, it was like, was it there initially or was it not? And then now it is, because she's gone through this journey. I don't know.
I think it was there.
Okay.
I think that it's a coming-of-age story.
Sure.
And that her saying, like, when she doesn't want them to go with her to the Goblin King because she has to face him alone. It's a bit like her casting aside her like childlike interests and becoming more of a woman. And so that's why at the end they're like, you know, should you need us, we'll always be here.
Yeah.
But like that scene in the garbage dump is like a big turning point for her because she realizes that she doesn't need...
Shouldn't hang on to all this.
Yeah, she doesn't need to hang on to all this stuff. Yeah.
I don't know, like I said, I've noticed the statue prominently, and I was like, was that in there earlier in the movie or not? I couldn't remember.
I would have to rewatch it. I don't know.
Yeah, I couldn't remember either. But I don't know, I don't really have much else to say. It's great.
It's great, you should watch it.
Sure.
Yeah, we both agree. Should we talk about this new Netflix Dark Crystal that's coming out?
Well, I wanted to talk a bit about it, because that was the reason we chose this topic, was because Netflix...
I just burped really loud. Keep it in.
Or not. Or will I? Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah, I don't even know until I listen to it. That was the reason we kind of gravitated towards this topic, was because Netflix is releasing... It's called The Dark Crystal Age of Resistance.
So I watched the trailer.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah, it was good.
Are they doing it with puppets, or is this CG?
They wanted to go full puppetry. Or maybe not full puppetry, but like as much puppetry as they could.
I think they used some CG to smooth things out, because I couldn't tell what it was when I watched the trailer.
Right.
Yeah.
Although, again, puppetry technique has come a long way since Jim Henson's day. No disparaging Jim Henson's tech.
But also, you know, like...
Some CGI trickery can definitely be involved.
Did you watch Kubo and the Two String? Did we watch that together?
Unfortunately, no. I really wanted to watch Kubo.
We watched Box Trolls.
Yes. No, I haven't seen that. We watched Frankenweenie. I saw that one.
Frankenweenie.
That was the Tim Burton
I was thinking of Kubo specifically because...
That's stop motion.
It's stop motion, so not puppetry.
Yeah.
But they
it's close to puppetry.
Also used some like CG in it.
Sure.
So it still looks like stop motion, but it doesn't look like stop motion the way...
Like Nightmare Before Christmas
yeah, or
looks like Coraline almost.
Or yeah,
because Coraline's pretty smooth as well, though.
Yeah, totally. But like so I was wondering if they kind of maybe put several filters.
It wouldn't be shocking. But yeah, so the idea is this is going to be a prequel show, and it's going to be 10 episodes, and it's going to explore the world of Thra, which is the thing, and it's going to follow 3 gelflings apparently, Rian, Bria, and Deet, who inspire a rebellion against the Skeksis when they discover a horrifying secret behind their power that threatens the world. Dun dun dun!
Oh, it's gonna have a sad ending, though.
I know, that's kind of when I was reading its prequel story, I was like, we know they die.
We know they die. See, I thought it was a retelling because there are scenes that look exactly like the scenes. I just thought that they had, like, stretched it out and fleshed out the story a bit more. Well,
and I got some more notes here, but I thought one of the main things interesting was the cast that they've managed to actually get here.
Oh,
There's
really?
a bunch of notables here. So Taron Egerton is playing Rian.
Oh, is that the Kingsman guy?
That's the Kingsman guy. Eddie,
and Elton John?
And Elton John, yes. And Anya Taylor-Joy, the witch girl. She plays Bria. And Nathalie, I want to say Natalie, but Emmanuel from Game of Thrones, Missandei. She's also...
Oh,
she's
okay.
deep. And Donna Kimball plays the Agra.
Who's Donna Kimball?
I don't know, that was the only name from those ones I couldn't recognize. But then it just continues on with this crazy list. So you got Eddie Izzard. So these are Gelfling characters. Eddie Izzard, Hellebone Carter. Let's see, you got Toby Jones, Lena Headey, Elisa Vinikar, Natalie Dormer, Mark Strong, Theo James. So there's like quite this list of cast. There's even more characters than I listed.
Full of Game of Thrones actors, eh?
Sure, they're chilling out. And then for the Skeksis, this is kind of a neat list too. You got Simon Pegg.
Nice.
There's actually somebody named Aquafina.
Oh. I know who that is. No, I think she was like a YouTube star, but she was in Ocean's 8 as the thief.
Okay, well there you go. Jason Isaacs, Benedict Wong.
Wait, who's Jason Isaacs?
He's Poe Dameron from Star Wars.
Oh, I thought so. Yeah. No, isn't he Oscar Isaacs?
Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong Isaacs. Jason Isaacs he was in Star Trek Discovery. He was the captain. I like him a lot. He's been in other things. You've seen him before. He's one of those like... that guy.
Gotcha.
Sorry, so I was wrong on that one. And Andy Samberg.
What? Oh, no.
Yeah, Keegan-Michael Key, Mark Hamill, and Neil Steinberg, and Sigourney Weaver is going to play the Myth Speaker, apparently.
Ooh.
but yeah, I was when I was reading this cast list, I was like, wow, that's quite the cast list. But I guess
I don't know
voice
how I
work.
feel about all some of these comedians being sexiest.
Let's see. Adam Sandler plays the heretic. He's against the beliefs of the other Skeksis.
I just kind of feel like he might.
Oh, Mark Hamill's the scientist.
Oh, Mark Hamill's gonna be great.
Yeah, he's gonna
obviously.
be great. Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like Andy, because who is that? That's the Lonely Island guy, right?
It is the Lonely Island guy. He also does Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
But he's had such a doofusy voice.
It might sound good. No.
I don't think so.
Maybe he can do a voice really good that they like.
Okay, I'll have an open mind.
Sure.
But I do think he sounds like a doofus, and I don't think that would suit a sexy.
Yeah, that's fair.
Mark Hamill can just do the Joker voice if he wants to.
He can always default to that. So this was, of course, initially conceived as a sequel. Mm-hmm. They always wanted to do one. They wanted to call it The Power of the Dark Crystal. But it was in development hell forever.
Gotcha.
And then, so 2012, this guy tried to get it off the ground. But it was always turned down because people were wanting Transformers type projects and stuff like that. Yeah. No one wants to do this kind of thing. Until we found a guy who was also a fan of the Dark Crystal, essentially. Nice. And then so they started working on that. And then they used Jim Henson and Frank Oz's notes. Mm-hmm. And the main idea comes from, so Lisa Henson, the Wall of Destiny is, so in that scene in Dark Crystal where they find that wall that had the prophecy, that was the jumping off point, essentially, was what was this culture that was wiped out and what did they lose and etc. So that's kind of what they're going for with this Gelfling, civilization. And yeah, so
do you think it'll end right before the Dark Crystal starts? Do you think we'll end it on a note that we can have another season?
Yes.
Okay.
Netflix is notorious for
the 2 seasons.
2 seasons.
Yeah.
Because they actually feel like, aside from some of their bigger shows, that they're fine with just 2 seasons.
That's fair.
Which I also agree with. That it's like if a show is 1 or 2 seasons, it's like the top, fine.
You can actually watch these.
Yeah, and then it doesn't drag on and become terrible. So I'm okay with that. But I got some notes about the puppetry here. So they made the puppets in 2017 in LA. And then they were shipped over to England, I think, for filming. Mm-hmm. So they got David Goles and Brian Froud, like I said, he's back designing the characters. And they used the original World of Dark Crystal book that I guess was published at one point.
Oh, cool.
To bring that back in. And so they took references from Game of Thrones for the world.
What?
And The Last Airbender, which is an excellent cartoon if you haven't seen that.
I haven't.
It's excellent.
Didn't Bad Director make that
Shamalama Ding Dong?
Yeah, he made that into a movie.
He made a bad movie of it?
Yeah, I didn't see it.
No one speaks of it.
Oh, okay, never mind then.
No, just kidding. And then, let's see. The first season make use of 20 principal puppets, they said, with an additional 90 secondary roles. And, the Gelflings now only take 2 puppeteers as opposed to 4.
Oh, that's good.
So they can move better. So, creates better freedom of movement. And as well, like I said, they can be controlled they're actually controlled by Wii controllers.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah, so because they don't need wires anymore. We have wireless technology, right? Yeah. So they can use wireless technology to control these puppets, probably making them smoother. So
that's cool.
That's probably, like I said, why it probably looks a little smoother, just because, again, motion of robotics can be smoother than it was in the past.
That's fair.
I don't really have
anybody throwing a puppet?
Oh, it'll be better.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what are we watching?
What are we doing with it?
Are we going to see a Dark Crystal?
Look at this Dark Crystal.
Just, what is it doing here? So I don't know. Yeah, that's kind of just some notes about the new show coming up. I'm kind of interested.
Yeah, I think I'll watch it.
Yeah.
10 episodes? They can never make a sequel to Labyrinth, though, because we don't have David Bowie anymore.
Here's what I was going to posit to you. Would you like to see an updated version, not necessarily a remake, or a super late sequel, like with an older Jennifer Connelly, and she somehow has to go back?
I would I don't know. Because it's hard without David Bowie.
Sure.
Because I do feel like he's the way he plays...
But maybe that could be the plot. Is the Goblin King is dead.
Oh, and she has to become the Goblin Queen?
And yeah, she's got to go in maybe she has to go in to stop the uprising.
Hobble goes and gets her?
Yeah, maybe something like that, yeah. And then she has to stop the, a war from breaking out from harming civilization.
Wait.
Okay.
I've got it.
And Toby comes with her.
Okay.
Or not.
Yeah. Listen to this.
Okay.
Jennifer Connelly is a mom.
Sure.
and her husband's not in the picture.
Right. Single mother.
Single mother.
Yeah.
Or maybe, I don't know. Maybe he is.
Unsure.
Yeah. Her kid dies.
Oh, no.
We're starting off on a high point.
Yeah.
And she doesn't know what to do, and she feels like she's...
Inconsolable.
Sure. And she calls on Hoggle and her friends to console her in like a moment of despair because she finds a box under her bed.
A moment of crazy. She's like, maybe this will work.
She finds a box with like some of her old things, clippings or whatever. And she calls on Hoggle and they come to help her, but they also need help because the Goblin King has died.
Yeah.
And she goes with them and becomes the Goblin Queen, and it's actually very sad because she doesn't go back to her...
To the real world.
To her real world, but she decides to stay in this fantasy world instead.
Yeah, I'd watch that.
Oh, it'd be so dark.
Yeah. Because here's what I was thinking, is like, there hasn't really been a movie like this type aside from Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah.
Right? And that's why I was like, if you're going to make this, you have to get Guillermo del Toro to make it.
Maybe.
And his version would be darker, like we've already seen in Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah. So she has to go through the labyrinth to get to the center because somebody else
is in control.
Is kind of rising up.
Yeah.
And she has to confront this person that's basically like the personification of grief.
Sure. Some sort of nether power.
Yeah. Not like in a... I don't know what it would be.
Sure.
Maybe
we're just spitballing ideas.
Maybe it's Toby. Maybe Toby's life went to shit.
Right.
Maybe he killed the Goblin King. Who knows?
We don't know.
Maybe he's always been a little bit off because he was
kidnapped by goblins.
Kidnapped by goblins.
Sure.
And that's why we don't see him like helping her when her kid dies, and so he's kind of been like doing drugs or whatever, and he ends up going into the Goblin world, killing the Goblin King, taking over, and ruling it terribly, like as an evil
like
force.
An iron fist kind of thing.
And then she has to go through, and she frees him and helps him in the real world, but she has to stay. I want to watch it. Hollywood, call me.
Yeah, because I guess
Would you watch that?
Yeah, like I was kicking around some ideas in my brain as well But my main question was, I was like, do you do a late sequel?
Harry Styles, no.
Or do you do like a remake type situation?
I wouldn't remake it.
Yeah, I don't. Well, maybe not a remake so much as like an homage. Like, we're doing this movie. It's similarly styled, but it's not
kind of like the Evil Dead.
Yeah. Let's say like kind of thing, but
I think it would be disrespectful to remake it because David Bowie's died.
Well, not just David Bowie, of course, Jim Henson and all the rest.
Yeah, but because like I think you can carry on Jim Henson's legacy by like
with puppetry and
staying true to like his original vision and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But replacing David Bowie would be so hard because you're either going to have somebody that's doing a bad impression.
Sure.
Or you're going to have somebody that's doing their own thing.
Yeah.
Like with Johnny Depp as Willy Wonka versus Gene Wilder.
Well, and just like what you're saying, that's why I wouldn't want to see like some sort of prequel-esque attempt.
Oh, no.
I would rather either see a late sequel or an entirely different movie, or they just never touch it again. Right.
Well, yeah, never touching it again is the obvious choice.
Sure.
But I would watch the movie that I just described, and I would just cry through the whole thing.
Yeah. And
I guess you could get, like, if you had Toby as the replacement Goblin King, you could get somebody musical to do it.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know who you'd get. Ed Sheeran?
Yeah, I don't know either.
Isn't that who everybody likes now?
I have no idea.
I don't know popular singers.
Me neither.
Oh, they could get the guy that sings Old Town Road. Have you heard that song?
No.
It's like, I'm gonna get a horse, I'm gonna ride my horse. It's a rap song, but it's also country because it's about horses.
Right. This sounds terrible.
Billy Ray Cyrus is on the track.
Oh, God. Well...
It's like the #1 song.
Well, that doesn't mean it's good.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah. But anyway, so I think an idea like that is pretty cool. It's something...
Yeah, I just wrote your script, Hollywood. Call me.
Yeah. Maybe you should write it.
Maybe you shouldn't.
Anyway, I think we should wrap it up here.
Yeah, okay.
Cool.
Well, thank you for listening.
Yeah.
You can rate and review us on iTunes because it helps other people find us. Or you can find us on all social media, which is at Tome of Uselessness. We also have a website, which is tomeofuselessness.com. And we have an email where you can send us questions or requests or argue with us.
Comments,
or, tell me about which Mystic Messenger boyfriend is your favorite.
Yeah.
And that email address is...
It's just tomeofuselessness@gmail.com. We're also recently on Spotify's podcast service as well.
Spotify! So you can listen to us on Spoofy.
Yeah, check us out there as well.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Bye!